Okay, let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking what is literally literature's most iconic political betrayal. Act 3, Scene 1 of William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. I mean, this is the absolute boiling point of the whole play. We're going to do a really in-depth breakdown of the plot, the most critical quotes, and those incredibly deep, complex character motivations driving this monumental event. So we'll be examining the psychology of the conspirators, a leader's tragic hubris, and of course, the calculated, terrifying revenge of a loyal friend.
Okay, let's dive into the agenda. We'll follow the tension chronologically. So first up, ignoring the final warnings. Then, the arrogant Northern Star speech. After that, the assassination itself, followed by bathing in Caesar's blood, and finally, Antony's deceptive truce and his prophecy of civil war.
All right, Section 1, ignoring the final warnings.
So let's set the stage here. It's the Ides of March, the 15th, and Caesar has just arrived at the Senate, literally surrounded by hidden dangers. It's like a giant puzzle snapping into place. It's incredible to trace how meticulously this trap closes in, minute by minute. Even when a senator named Populus hints at the plot and causes a brief panic, the assassins just keep executing their plan. First, the soothsayer warns Caesar again. Caesar, super cocky, says, "The Ides of March are come," and the soothsayer chillingly replies, "Aye, Caesar, but not gone." Then, Artemidorus actually pushes through the crowd to hand Caesar a letter that lists the exact names of the conspirators, but Caesar ignores it. Meanwhile, Trebonius pulls off his crucial task. He cleverly distracts Mark Antony, getting Caesar's most capable and loyal ally completely out of the way. And finally, Casca gets into position, ready to strike the very first blow.
Which brings us to a really massive, absolutely critical question. Why? Why on earth did Caesar completely ignore these life-saving warnings? Especially when Artemidorus practically handed him the entire plot on a silver platter and begged him to read it right then and there.
Well, the answer lies right in his own words. Caesar tells Artemidorus, "What touches ourself shall be last served." He even brushes the guy off as a madman. This brilliantly illustrates Caesar's ultimate flaw, his hubris. By trying so hard to look like this godlike, invincible leader who puts the business of Rome far ahead of his own personal safety, he actively seals his own doom. He's so utterly obsessed with his public image that he completely blinds himself to the literal daggers waiting for him.
Moving on to Section 2, the arrogant Northern Star.
Now inside the Senate, the conspirators launch their final, highly manipulative trap. Metellus Cimber drops to his knees, begging for his banished brother, Publius, to be allowed back into Rome, and one by one, heavy hitters like Brutus and Cassius join him. They're kneeling, kissing Caesar's hand. It's this incredibly coordinated show of submissive theater. Now, what's really interesting about this is Caesar's response. He says, "I am constant as the northern star. There is no fellow in the firmament." He's literally comparing himself to the only unmoving, unmatched celestial body in the entire night sky. He basically tells them, look, your groveling might move ordinary men, but not me. When Cinna pushes even further, Caesar actually asks if they're trying to lift Mount Olympus. I mean, wow, he has completely elevated himself to the status of an absolute, immovable god.
And this really highlights the intense psychological juxtaposition of the whole scene. On one side, you have Caesar's supreme overconfidence. He firmly believes he's immovable, absolute, comparing these kneeling senators to fawning dogs. But on the other side, you have the conspirators' deadly deception. Outwardly, they are bowing, speaking these incredibly sweet, flattering words, but inwardly, they are tightly gripping the handles of their hidden daggers, just waiting for the perfect second to strike.
Which brings us to Section 3, the assassination of Caesar.
All that begging? Yeah, it was just a distraction to box Caesar in. Suddenly, Casca cries out, "Speak ands for me," and the physical violence erupts. They completely surround him, stabbing him one after the other. And right in the middle of this total chaos and flashing blades, we hit the absolute climax of the scene. Et tu, Brute, then falls Caesar. And you, Brutus? Let's unpack the heavy emotional weight of this iconic Latin phrase. Remember, Caesar is a warrior. He initially tries to fight back against his attackers. But when he looks up and sees his absolute best friend Brutus holding a bloody dagger, it completely shatters his will to live. He essentially decides that if Brutus wants him dead, he no longer wants to be alive.
We can define this moment as the ultimate climax of betrayal. It's that devastating turning point where the emotional shock of a trusted friend's treason is infinitely more fatal than the physical stab wounds themselves. It's a deeply tragic, entirely relatable concept. Loyalty absolutely destroyed. Brutus wasn't just another politician in the crowd. His betrayal was the fatal blow that finally brought the great Caesar down.
All right, Section 4. Bathing in Caesar's blood. So the deed is done. Caesar falls dead at the base of Pompey's statue, and while the rest of the senators flee in absolute terror, thinking a citywide massacre has just begun, the conspirators proudly stand their ground. They're in the streets shouting liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead. But then, Brutus suggests something truly shocking. He tells the men to stoop down. So we have to ask, why? Why on earth did the conspirators deliberately bathe their hands up to their elbows in Caesar's blood and smear it all over their swords?
So the crucial point here is that this wasn't just savage butchery to them, it was a deeply, deeply symbolic act. First off, they wanted to take absolute public responsibility for the murder. They are not hiding from what they just did, not at all. Second, to them, this blood symbolizes washing away the corruption of a dictator. It's viewed as a noble sacrifice for the nation of Rome. And finally, they're actually fulfilling a theatrical, historical ritual. Cassius even looks at his blood-soaked hands and predicts that this exact scene will be acted out in states unborn and in unknown languages for ages to come. They truly view themselves as eternal liberators.
Next up, Section 5, Antony's deceptive truce.
Now, the conspirators might be celebrating, but this political chess match is far from over. Enter Mark Antony. He returns to the bloody Senate floor, executing a brilliantly calculated survival strategy. I mean, one wrong word here could mean his immediate death. Step 1, he doesn't just barge in. He sends his servant first to gauge if it's safe and to flatter Brutus. Smart move. Step 2, once he's assured of his safety, Antony enters. He challenges them. He says if they plan to kill him, there's literally no better time or place than right here besides Caesar. When they swear he's safe, he actually shakes the bloody hands of the murderers one by one, pretending to ally with them. And step 3, he secures Brutus's permission to take Caesar's body to the marketplace and speak at his public funeral.
Now you really need to notice the stark contrast between our two conspirator leaders here. You've got Brutus's idealism leading him to agree to Antony's request. Brutus firmly believes that simply explaining the logical, honorable reasons for the murder will easily calm the Roman public. But Cassius's paranoia? Oh, it is screaming. Cassius is highly cynical, deeply suspicious of Antony, and he explicitly warns Brutus that letting Antony speak to the public is a massive, fatal mistake.
Finally, Section 6, Prophecy of Civil War.
Well, spoiler alert, Cassius was right. Ignoring his warning, the conspirators make the catastrophic error of leaving Mark Antony completely alone with Caesar's mutilated corpse. And the very second they're gone, Antony's fake friendly mask drops entirely. He looks down at the body and cries out, "Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I am meek and gentle with these butchers." He's apologizing to Caesar for shaking their hands. And then, unleashing his true, unbridled rage, he vows to cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer apocalyptic scale of the revenge Antony is planning here. He actually invokes the goddess Ate. In Greek mythology, Ate is this terrifying goddess of ruin, destruction, and blind vengeance. Antony literally envisions Caesar's ghost rising from hell with Ate right by his side, ready to plunge all of Italy into a civil war so violent and bloody that mothers will simply smile when they see their own infants killed. Why? Because destruction will have become so utterly commonplace. It gives you chills, right?
So, let's summarize the final crucial takeaways as this massive scene closes. Antony has made a secret, unshakable vow of bloody vengeance. And right at this moment, a servant arrives with huge news. Octavius Caesar, Julius Caesar's adopted heir, is camped just 20 miles outside of Rome. Antony tells the servant to wait, revealing his immediate master plan. He's going to use his upcoming funeral speech to test the public's reaction, ignite a violent rebellion against the conspirators, and then report back to Octavius.
Which leaves us with this incredible, truly provocative final thought. This stage is perfectly set for one of the greatest showdowns in literary history. Who is going to win over the unpredictable Roman crowd, Brutus's calm, honorable logic, or Antony's fiery, manipulative emotion? We've seen the betrayal, and now the dogs of war have officially been unleashed. I really hope this deep dive into Act 3, Scene 1 brought the text to life for you and gave you a crystal clear understanding of exactly what went down. Keep analyzing, keep asking questions, and we'll see you in the next explainer.